I couldn't find on any YouTube videos at all, and I couldn't even find a recipe online at all for this. It's a really popular dough up here in the Northwest USA, states like Oregon, Utah, Idaho. 3 packets of dry active yeast, and you're going to use just about half of a package. 1 teaspoon is actually what you want each of these packets, and I'm just going to go ahead and pour in 1 teaspoon of the yeast, and then what I'll do is I'll actually wrap up this sugar is half a teaspoon, and what that's for is for your yeast to actually eat. Yeast is actually basically live bacteria, something along those lines, and it actually eats the sugar, and that's what starts its growth. And you got to get the right temperature of the water, because too hot of water will actually kill your yeast. Too cold of water, it won't activate your yeast. So what I do is I run it under there until it's about the right temperature for a really hot bath. Okay? You don't want it smoking hot, because that'll be too. Okay. And once you add that water, what you want to do is take you a spoon, go ahead and stir it around. Sugar and the yeast and the water is incorporated so that your yeast can actually work. And then you'll want to go ahead and set the bowl down. And you'll want to go ahead and wait about 5 to 7 minutes and just let it set. Let the yeast start working. We've got our yeast activated with half a cup of warm water, and that's 1 teaspoon of dry active yeast, half a cup of warm water, and half a teaspoon of regular sugar. And we'll go ahead and add that right in. And yeast is kind of cool the way it works. You can actually just see some weird stuff going on. I always thought that was pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and set the camera down and let you watch from here. Okay. And after half a cup of sugar, you're going to add the rise. You'll add that in. If it'll break, it's a hard eggshell there. You'll add that right in. Alright, after your egg, you're going to add 1/2 cup of warm milk. Again, this is going to be temperature important. You want to make sure it's not too hot or too cold, or your yeast won't work properly on the rise. So what I actually like to do here is take my 1/2 cup of milk. Obviously, it's going to be cold right out of the refrigerator. I want to get it to, again, about the same kind of temperature where it's a nice hot bath, but not blistering hot. So I'll put it on a minute here. It probably won't. Again, the same kind of thing here, looking for a hot bath, but not scalding hot. Probably a little hotter bath than your kids would want. A mixture as far as the water. Again, that's what, and take it long. Just kind of hand touch it, make sure it's not scalding hot, and you should be okay. And any kind of vegetable or canola oil here should work. You're just looking to add some fat and moisture to your scones. Ingredients there, kind of break up that egg. Break up the egg yolk. And nice stir going on there. Get that sugar, that 1/2 cup of sugar that we added, all incorporated here. Okay. Now after that, we're going to want to change our spoon. I pretty much don't have a spoon. I just kind of have a wooden stick here. Part of some wooden, I think it's salad tongs. You'll want to add flour there, just all-purpose flour, 1 cup at a time, and start incorporating that with your wooden spoon or wooden handle. Maybe up to 5.5 cups of flour, maybe even a little more. It just seems like it varies a little bit every time. You don't want that. Here goes cup number 2. Go ahead and get that added here. Yeast is interesting, but it definitely helps make some delicious scones and breads and everything else you make with it. I'm just kind of babbling here while I mix up the flour, so sorry if I'm boring you to death. Alright, and we're going to go with cup number 4. And it's not going to be real important that you're exactly precise on these cups of flour, because like I said, you're just going to be looking to add enough flour to where you almost get like a Play-Doh like texture. You definitely don't want it if it's too. Add in cup number 5. And most of the time that I make this, it takes at least 5 cups of flour. A lot of times it takes about 5.5. So nice sticky texture, so that it becomes more like like I say, more like a Play-Doh when I pull my spoon up. Just still a little bit sticky, so we're just going to have another teeny bit of flour, and it'll probably be really close. Half this video is going to be me adding flour to the dough to try to get it to the right texture. And once you get to this point, you can kind of actually pull the dough off with your hands and go ahead and get both hands in there and start kind of kneading it a little bit. Let's go ahead and get just a teeny bit more flour in this and work that in. I want to cover it up with a towel, and a lot of people say use a wet towel. I just use a dry towel all the time and it works fine for me. We're going to go ahead and let it rise for about an hour or until it doubles in size, and I'll be back when it does that. Okay, it's been about an hour, and we're going to go ahead and check our dough and see if it's doubled in size. And it's definitely swollen here, so that's about how you want it. What you're going to want to do is go ahead and kind of punch it in a clean cabinet, kind of spread it out so you have a little bit of room to work. You don't actually need to use the flour. If you don't want to, if your dough's not that sticky and you just want to kind of work it out with your hands. But this is actually going to make a huge scone here, just this amount of dough here. And you're going to want to just spread it out. If you're just using a skillet and some either peanut oil or vegetable, it's only going to take about a 1.5 to 2 minutes on each side. And if you're using a skillet, you probably just need about 1.5 to 2 inches of oil inside there. Keep in mind that the dough is going to soak up check it, see how it's doing. Looks about perfect on that opposite side there. So what you'll want to do is, obviously here I have a basket where I can let it drain and let all that excess oil drain off. And the next thing I like to do, a lot of people like to put like sugar and cinnamon on top of it. Honey. So it's about a 2-to-1 ratio of butter to honey. And then when you mix the honey and the butter up, maybe about a teaspoon of cinnamon. And that's how you make honey butter. It's just about a 2-to-1 ratio of butter to honey, and then a little bit of cinnamon. And then just mix it all up. And I've got it right here in my tub here. This is actually homemade honey butter that I made. And if you use sticks of butter, it's going to get kind of hard. You might want to set it out and let it soften up before you actually. That's it. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments, questions, or anything like that, go ahead and leave them in the comments below.